So for the bottom hole, which is in this case because the piece is upside down to the top hole, I'm going to measure 10 inches on both of these guys. And this isn't super precise the way I'm doing it, but close enough. The center point is 1.5 inches plus a 1/16 of an inch. All right. And that's the center point for our bottom holes. Now I'm going to move down to the top holes. I'm going to measure down 40 inches. On both of these guys. Then find the center point again, which is 1.5 inches plus a 1/16. I'm using what's called a brad point drill bit here to go through. I'm using a 1/4 inch drill bit. The toggle bolts that we're going to be using are 3/16, so this is just a little bit better to give us a little bit of woggle room. The brad point is to keep it centered exactly, and it really helps not to destroy the other side of the wood. And I'm just putting them in the center points. Alright, so what we've got going on now is we're going to pop this piece up, hold it in place, and mark the points where the holes will go in the drywall with the pointy awl. You need an assistant, of course. So let's go up. All right, Bob. So I'm just going to do a quick level check to make sure that we're not putting anything in that looks stupid later. You'll notice at the top here that the ceiling isn't completely flat. Now, pop in, marking all, putting our marks in. All right, and now we take it down and drill some holes. All right, so now I'm going to use a spade bit, 9/16, just popping into the drywall here. Might be a stud here, which would be incredibly inconvenient, or incredibly convenient, depending on your perspective. Alright, so now what we're going to do, I'm using a 3-inch toggle bolt. We've got the toggle bolt here. The toggle sits on and it closes to push through the hole. It closes to push it through and hopefully it won't break off in the wall like that. But that's the basic idea, is it opens up and then gives you something to pull against. What I'm going to be doing to distribute the weight is I'm going to use what's called a fender washer, which is this guy right here. And that's going to give us a big piece of metal to distribute the weight. Alright? So obviously I'm not going to be pushing this toggle through this little tiny hole, but I'm just going to push it through like that, and now I'm going to do all the rest of them the same way. Alright, so now I'm just going to pop the toggles on. I want to make sure that I've got enough toggle, that the bolt's gone far enough through the toggle so that it isn't likely to just pop off while we're moving things around, shooting you in the eye. Don't forget your eye protection, kids. If there's anything that Norm Abrams taught me, it's that eye protection is super important. Alright, so we're gonna throw the ramp up into the space that we've already drilled out. There's 3 toggle bolt anchors, or molly bolts, that are going to go in. This one turns out that it's into a stud, so we're not going to be using a molly bolt here. In fact, we're actually going to be using a drywall screw, or actually technically a decking screw.
Shift it to the left. Ah, there we go, a little bit to the right.
I guess I could use power tool for this. Huh. If I was really smart, I would have a step ladder. Alright, so this last piece is a little bit unusual. Normally I would just use my hand-long screwdriver to put in a molly bolt. But in this case I actually have to use a screw gun. So I need to use this extender, and this is the only extender that I have, and it's kind of floppy, so we'll see what happens when I try this one out. Alright, so last step is we pull out the braces. Hopefully the whole ceiling doesn't collapse on us. Well, surprise, surprise, the ceiling has not collapsed on us yet. Moment of truth. Alright. So, it's in there pretty darn good. So, one thing, this is actually only 40 pounds. So it's important to realize that the whole thing is hollow. There's no back on it. So it really is fastened extremely well with just 4 bolts. Another thing to point out is this is an early prototype. So what you're actually seeing is not exactly the model that is in production. These aluminum fins are now powder coated. This is a raw piece. So this rub off doesn't actually happen with the current production models. And the actual height is about a ½ inch different. But other than that, this is pretty much what you will see when you buy your own acoustic ramp.